right, welcome to In the Zone podcast and our second special edition for the Zwift Racing League. And we've got, again, my co-hosts and captains. We have Jamie, captain of Team B.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Nick, captain of Team C.
Hello.
We've just missed your video as we see you, but anyway. So welcome, guys. I had really good feedback from the last podcast. It was a lot of fun. We talked about the previous season, and now today we're going to talk about the next season. So season 3, which is the final season of this year, or 2021-2022 year. And it's going to be 8 races, but 6 of them, and then 2 for the playoffs. So it's a little bit of a shorter one than usual. You guys looking forward to it?
Certainly am, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. First, I thought we'd speak a little bit about the different rules. Maybe it's good to kind of go back one step and just maybe not everybody's super clear on what are the different rules. So we have different categories. We have category A, B, C, and D. So we normally have team in A, B, and C. So category A is for people which have an FTP of above 4 watts per kilo. Category B is for people which have an FTP between 3.2 and 3.99 watts per kilo. And category C is for people generally between 2.5 and 3.19 watts per kilo FTP. So that has its own little problems, as we know. There's a lot of people, when you have an upper, you have a ceiling, then people will kind of raise that ceiling. We've certainly seen in the B and C categories that it can be a little bit unfair sometimes. You guys have any thoughts about that? Did you experience that? Some people kind of racing a little bit. That's what we call sandbagging. So basically, if an A, you're really an A, but you're going to race in B and just race knowing that you're going to race at 3.99 and stay there.
And does it take your last 3 races into account? Is that right? Is that
how so it's using Zwift Power. And Zwift Power is based on your top 3 performances in the last 90 days.
Okay.
So basically you can, for example, I was an A, and now that I haven't raced in a while, I'm back to a B because my last performance, which boosted me to an A, is now out. So I'm now technically a B.
But if you race in B and smash it out the park, then they might tell you, oh, sorry, you've just gone over the limit.
Exactly. So you have category limits, and they take 20 minutes of your best power output. So you're basically going to go, if I go, 300 watts for 20 minutes, it's going to take 95%, of that 20-minute power. And that's going to be the determining factor for my watts per kilo limit. So that's why sometimes it happens to have an upgrade, but it's actually quite rare, because to really get an upgrade, you need to really smash it and be out of categories. So
because if you do race efficiently, you're drafting a lot of the time.
Exactly.
It's very rare that you're going all out for more than 20 minutes, which would sort of push that FTP up. But I have seen other leagues. There's other leagues where instead of having A, B, and C, they have A and A plus, B and B plus, and C and C plus. So they divide it into 6 leagues equivalent, which means that the bottom half of each division is probably a bit more fun, a bit more competitive. But if you're in the top half of the division, then it wouldn't make much of a difference anyway, which I think, at least in C, most of our riders are finishing, in top 20, top 30 of the races, which is in the top half. So
yeah, I think the limits are too big. I think the groups, for B or C, I think 3.2 to 4 watts per kilo is too big. If your FTP is 3.2 and you're racing against a guy who's 3.99, you have no chance. And the same in B, if you're 2.5 and one guy is 3.2, again, no chance. And in A, if you're 4, you're just an A, and you get guys who are 5 watts per kilo, well, forget about it. Yeah. So that's the difficulty of it. But yeah, it's worked out okay, I think better last season than it has in previous seasons, in my opinion. But
and somebody's got to win at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's true.
And you don't want
we're all different.
one, therefore you're too good.
Yeah. And it does allow for natural progression, so we'll come on to that. But to upgrade basically in a race, you have to, like I said, if your Zwift Power profile category changes, you've been upgraded, and so you cannot race anymore. But it does allow for natural progression. So for example, let's say, Jamie, you're a B now. You have to complete 4 races in your category. If on the 5th race, you all of a sudden upgrade to an A, you're still allowed to carry on and finish the season. Because they think of this as natural progression. You've completed four races as a B. The 5th one you can increase to an A. Same for C, and becoming a B, etc. So you do have some sort of allowance. It's not that 5th race you upgrade, bam, you're out. So it's but if you do upgrade after the 1st race or 2nd race or 4th race, if you get the upgrade, then that means not only your result will be cancelled, but then you're kicked out of the team as well completely.
And so your result for that one doesn't even count. Nothing. That's
So every result that is above category limit is cancelled. So even if you are on your 5th race and you upgrade, but you have an over the cap limit on the day, your result will be cancelled.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different, because the way you calculate your category on Zwift Power doesn't mean that on the day you can become an A but stay within the catch limit, if it makes sense. I don't know. If on the day you have really an over performance, so for example for a B, you'd need to do something like 4.2 watts per kilo for 20 minutes to really be cancelled on the day, but to become an A, you don't need to go that far. So it's a bit complicated, but generally you want to stay. It's quite rare, I would say, to really have so many upgrades. But it looks as well at 20 minutes and 5 minutes power. So it's not just 20 minutes.
Oh, look at the 5-minute as well. I didn't realize.
Yeah, they look at a different power curve, exactly. Because otherwise, for example, you can be an A, you don't race at all for 3 months, you join a C category, you just literally go hard on all the sprints, and the rest you cruise, and you win all the points on the sprints for the FTS, all the KOMs, and that's it, and the rest you just cruise. So yeah, you have different things. But like I said, so if you're above your category in a points race, your race is cancelled, so is annulled. Your points, not the team points, just your points, and the rider so is disqualified. But if you go above category in a TTT, the whole team is disqualified. So that's quite important to know. But in a TTT, again, it'll be very rare that one guy will go way above cat limit, because otherwise clearly he has nothing to do in that league, because that's then on the points, that's another. So this is my little quiz for you guys. Do you know? So what are the maximum number of riders that you can put on the front on the line?
So we're on 6.
6, correct. Well done. Okay. What is the minimum number of riders that you need?
Does that vary? So for a TTT, it has to be.
No, I'm just talking points race now.
So is a points race 3, or is it 4?
Oh, I assumed it was 4 for both.
It's 4. Yeah, you need a minimum 4 riders. However, now that's the tricky thing. You need minimum 4 riders to start the event and complete a minimum distance. I think it's 1 or 2 kilometers, because they do allow, if you have a technical, imagine you only have 4 riders on the day, and only 3 finished the race because one had a technical, I don't know, his computer crashed midway.
Yeah.
Because 4 riders have started the race and 3 finished, the points of the 3 count.
That's for a points race.
For a points race. That's for a points race. So even if you have 4 starters and only 1 finisher, that the points count for the one.
So I remember it happened to me when I was genuinely horrifically ill, and I started a couple of kilometers, stopped, and I was off my work the next couple of days, and I really wouldn't have been able to finish. But even that would have been useful had we only been 4 starting. It would have helped.
Exactly. Yeah. So just pedaling for 5 minutes, whatever, it will help. So like I said, minimum 4 starters, maximum 6, but you need to have the minimum 4, but you can drop later, but they have to do a minimum distance required. So you need 4 riders to start and not to finish. However, on the TTT, this, what is obviously the maximum riders is 6, and minimum is?
It's 4, because it's the fourth guy across the line whose time counts.
Exactly, that's right. So even, for example, imagine you drop a rider, you're 5 or 6, you drop one rider, then you drop another one, and 5K to go, one rider has a technical, boom, computer says no. And the 3 finish, but the one guy who dropped later at the back, he's still there. So he has to finish so that the time counts. Otherwise, the time is canceled. So even if you're dropped, I know it's difficult, but you still have to finish, and somehow not pedal just 100 watts, to kind of, you never know anyway. So that's just
you got to dry the tears off your handlebars as you go as well. So that's I'm speaking from experience.
Also,
I know it too.
Another important aspect is the correct data on Zwift. So obviously, weight and height it must be correct. So normally we have 24 hours window to weigh ourselves, measure ourselves. That should always be the same. But the weight actually should be done with your shorts and shirt on, like you're in game, basically. So I know sometimes a lot of guys want to have the minimum weight because you're thinking, of course, you're lighter on Zwift, and that's great. But in fact, sometimes that means you might upgrade as well, because you're pushing above actually what you really are. So I'd really recommend to just quickly weigh yourself before the race.
Yeah, weight's a funny thing because it can have a big impact. And when you look at, if sometimes when I look at these guys on Zwift Power after to see what they've done, and their weight is in there, they haven't changed their weight in months or ever. Now, I guess the weight shouldn't fluctuate that much, but I mean,
it can fluctuate quite a bit. One or a couple of kilos easily.
Yeah, especially throughout a season, if you're racing a lot, and it sort of depends. So 1 or 2 kilos can have an impact.
Yeah, definitely. Especially you'll see on one race where you have the Innsbruck, so that will be a tough one. But weights and height. Height is important. Why? Because of the drafting. So the bigger rider will have a bigger draft behind him. So that's important for the TTT. So we can't all of a sudden, be 2 meters tall. For the TTT, and then later on put our height back to normal. So that's quite important. And then one of my favorite, obviously, heart rate monitor. This is a must. I mean, in A category, it's mandatory. You have to have it. But in B and C, you don't have to have it. But if you don't have it, it's 50% deducted points. So basically, it's like you haven't done the race, because if you smash it, you have a great result and you get, 30 points. Well, you only get 15. So it's a big penalty.
Last season, my heart rate monitor was out of batteries and I hadn't been using it. And each week I'd be like, I've not sorted that yet. But you can put your watch, on broadcast mode. And it's a bit more comfortable as well to be doing that. So that's what I did. It's not going to be as accurate, but that doesn't really matter.
At least you have data. That's for them. They just don't want someone like an A rider to go in a C team and basically smash it and be at 110 BPM, and just like, this is too easy. It's just strolling around, so you want to see people doing a raced effort. How much they actually check it, I'm not sure, but
Yeah. There's a guy who's got a video of him with a salad spinner. Somehow, I can't remember how he's got his salad spinner linked up to Zwift, but he's winning a race, just turning his thing for spinning his lettuce, So that's, I guess, why the heart rate monitor's there.
Yeah. All right. And now we get to the 2 different races that we have. We have the points race and we have the team time trials. So we'll have, out of the 6 races, we'll have 4 points race and 2 team time trials. So let's go to the points race. So what is a points race? Well, basically, it's just a bunch group ride or race we're all together, draft legal. Only the riders of the team that we are in our league are able to race. This is a question I have quite often. It's like, oh, so we're going to be 5,000 people racing. No. This is, if there's 15 teams in our league, only 6 riders of each team can race in that race. Okay, that's it. Minimum 4, maximum 6 per team. Now we have different points. So finishing points. Question: what is the maximum number of points that you get for finishing first?
Well, here we go. 20?
40 points.
There you go, Nick. Thank you. 40 points. You get 40 points. And what if you finish last? How many points do you get?
1, 2.
It used to go down to 0.
1.
But it goes all the way down to 1.
Yeah,
so
1 point. Exactly. So basically the group, so I think it's first is 40, then second 35 or 30, then 20, etc., etc. Then they get grouped, I think from 11th onwards, it's like 11, 15, 16, 20, etc. So they group them by 4 or 5 and you get less points. So what it means is that every single position counts. That's really important. Even if you get dropped, you can be 20th or 30th, you're still going to get points. And that's really important. That's why finishing the race is important. And if you don't finish the race, you get 0 points. If you finish the race, then you'll have points. And since most leagues actually don't have full number of teams and full number of riders, quite often the last place will be in 60th. And 60th can still probably get you, I don't know, 8 points or something, which is still decent. So it's important to finish the race, really. Tell you everyone
and
finish
the importance
the race.
And therefore the importance of having a full team out there, because when you have 6 versus 4 people show up, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's been I think one of the difficulties we've had in the past to not fill enough riders, and now really the key is to have 6 riders. Even if you finish last, we've seen in the rankings differences of 1 or 2 points between the teams, between us and others.
Yep.
So just one person, makes a big difference. First across the line. So the finishing points, obviously, first one gets 40 points, last one gets 1 point. So, and everything goes down there. First across the line, how many points do you get for first? How many points you get for last? 10
points, because I got it first across the line, my first.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the first across the line, Nick, do you want to explain what it is?
First across the line. So yeah, throughout various parts of the race, there's sprints that are marked. And basically, as you go, it's just the first, I think the first 10 people get points. So the first 10 people to cross this sort of theoretical imaginary line at some point in the race get points. So it's usually, a designated sprint area
or KOM
that is marked, or KOM. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. Very important. And if you have a multi-lap race, one segment can be done many times. So we can have the same segment used as first across the line. So we'll have this season, for example, the Libby Hill after party, where I think we do 5 laps of the Richmond flats, and you'll have 5 sprints, the same sprint. And 5 times you go over that. So there's basically 5 times the opportunity to win sprint points, 10-1. First in FTS, fastest through segment. Jamie, you want to have a crack on this one? You had a good go on the Temple KOM?
So there's a designated, instead of just a designated finish point, there's a designated start and finish point. And it's like a Strava section, essentially. So when you get there, it's go time. And if the people in front of you, if you're catching them up as you go through that segment, you're going to be faster through that segment, even though you cross the line after them.
Yeah, exactly. So they take, for the fastest through segment, now this time, it's only once, you have one FTS per segment. That's really important. Although you can, like we said in a previous example for Libby Hill, you'll have 5 times the sprint in Richmond, but so you have 5 times first across the line, but 1 time the fastest through segment. So they're going to basically take, like you said, look at there's like a Strava segment. Everybody went through. You have 5 chances, or sometimes 1, sometimes 2. or sometimes 5, and all the different, it'll be a ranking of the best times. So you could imagine how, if you're an extraordinary sprinter, you could have the top 5 spots in the fastest through segment. So you could have number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, for example, and win all the points there. That's really important. But generally, we only go through the segments once, unless it's a multi-lap. But that's important. And how many points if you're first?
Back to 10 again.
Bit more.
I think it's.
If you've only got 1, yeah. So is it up to? Is it 20?
Yeah, 20. Yeah, down to 10th place where you get 1 point.
Yeah.
So it's a high risk strategy. For example, when we did our Temple KOM, but it's worth it. 20 points is a lot. It's a lot of points. Usually these FTS, I find in A, for example, they're usually wrapped up by the first across the line guys. In any case, it's very, very often that, you know, the first group will just grab everything.
But
yeah, it's a bit more. It's a bit more open when you're talking about the KOMs and you have longer climbs, because then you have the chance, Thierry, as you did in past seasons, where you can just go for it on a climb and and steal that away from those guys.
No, cool. So I think that's it really for the points race. Now team time trial. So like we said, 6 riders, 4 riders. Jamie, why is it more advantageous to have 6 riders rather than 4?
Well, you've got more people taking their turn at the front, so you're only at the front for a sixth of the time rather than a fourth of the time, a quarter of the time. And the more people you've got in front of you, the better a break you're going to get. Yeah. So it's very, very useful to have the full 6, especially if you're all on the similar, if you're in a similar level of cyclist. Exactly.
Yeah, you'll get more rest time. But even if only, let's say, 3 riders do that rotation and you get to the back, when you're 6th place rider, it definitely feels easier than when you're the 4th. Yeah. If there's only 4 of you and you're last, it feels harder than when you're on the 6th. You know, the draft dynamics, the way they work, the bigger the bunch, the easier it gets, if you want, at the back.
So even keeping 2 with you who are not going to take a turn at the front, but will hover around in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some funny starts. So Nick, do you want to go through perhaps, do you want to explain a little bit how the starts work at the TTT?
Yeah, because the start, you know, your team goes off by itself. So in 30-second increments, so all the teams are spread out. So you're not actually racing head to head with the other teams. You're by yourselves. And it's really just, you know, against the clock. But that means at the start, you're all in the pens, and every 30 seconds you see a team go off. And, you know, you've been allocated a certain time, which you have to keep track of yourself. And if it's, you know, sort of 5 minutes after the whistle blows, then you're sitting there waiting for 5 minutes and your team goes off altogether.
Yeah. The important thing is to note the difference between the event start and the start delay. So usually the start time is, let's say, 8:45, but you'll have a start delay of maybe 3 minutes. So at 8:45, the pens are ready. You got to be in the pens, you got to be in, but you cannot pedal, because if you start pedaling, you'll cross the start banner and your time starts. So you have to basically stop pedaling and wait until your start delay, let's say 3 minutes. And now the whole team can go after 3 minutes. So the team captain will have the watch, the stopwatch, and measure that. It's really important. You see it pretty much every single race, someone just going off at the front. You know, it's a bit of a joke, and you see, hey, one goes and
I always have the issue where my trainer falls asleep during that 5 minute window, and then I have to try and wake it up by pedaling. And
so there's another tactic that we can do. We haven't done it yet, but you can go in the pairing screen, and in the pairing screen you can pedal, but it doesn't move your avatar.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that.
So a lot of people, what they do is they basically go on the pairing screen, and you keep on pedaling. And when your start delay is over, you're pedaling at the power that you want to race. So let's say 300 watts. you're already at 300 watts. Your avatar goes from 0 to 300 straight away. So you start faster, you gain a few seconds there, and normally you should all be kind of together already at the start. And you don't have this. It's a bit tricky. So you have to go on the pairing screen, and I think it's touch A, I think, on the keyboard, and then you exit, bam, and as soon as you exit, you go forward. That's something to try, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try that because I have this issue every week. It's every time we do the time trial.
But no, it's a bit of a funny one. But yeah, so like you said, teams go every 30 seconds. Now, a few rules which are super important is also the etiquette of the team time trial. When you overtake a team, we must increase our power significantly. It's got to be a push. When we're being overtaken, we have to reduce the power significantly to allow the other team to pass. Now, this in the first season, I don't know if you remember, this used to happen a lot because they used to have the worst teams at the front and the best teams at the back. So basically, there used to be a lot of overtaking, but they've reversed that order last season, which worked really well. We barely had any overtaking or to do so. That was quite nice, I think. Yeah. But it's really important that we respect this because it's so disturbing when you are overtaken or you're overtaking. And you have a sticky draft, so basically some riders will, you really gotta have a clean pass. And now another really important point is if you have a dropped rider, if someone is dropped, he cannot interfere or draft in another team. That's just really important.
It's a shame because the technology's there. They could switch the draft off for everybody but your own team. I'm sure there's a program they could write for that.
Yeah,
it would.
Yeah.
It would solve that,
Yeah, well, they haven't figured out yet, I guess. But same for the start delay. It's just a bit of a faff, honestly. I don't understand why they don't have a,
you get held on the turbo trainer.
Like you said, if your turbo trainer is asleep, and then all of a sudden you got to wait for someone a minute, like your race is over. It's just a technology issue.
On that virtual turbo. They could just hold you on that and let you go.
Yeah, but anyway, so the dropped rider, please, that's really, really important to not interfere with any other team. Do not draft another team. Do not, just let them pass and do your own race. And like we said, the time counts when the fourth rider crosses the line. So guys, any questions for the rules? Have I mentioned everything?
Think so, yeah.
Cool. I always get questions every week. So hopefully now, if you have more questions, now is the time before the season, not 5 minutes before the start of the race. That would be great.
Well, the only other place we get confused sometimes is the power-ups, but maybe we can talk about that when we look through the races.
Exactly. Yeah. But the top tips: finish the race, wear a heart rate monitor. That's a good start. All right, let's do this. Stage 1, Road to Ruins. That's going to be interesting. Have you guys ridden it before?
I guess I will.
Yeah, I wrote it the other day. I was doing a workout, so I decided to ride it. What I find interesting about this one is there's no preems, so there's no first across the line, no fastest through segments. You've got 2 hills in the middle. You've got a gravel section. And so everyone's just going to be trying to stay together to get to the end.
I think I saw a video from Cy Bradley doing all the recons, and he was suggesting that for maybe B, but perhaps more the C, you'll see some bike swaps just before the jungle start and at the end as well, to really get. I think it's a good case to swap bike if you're
the gravel bike does make a difference.
Yeah. The gravel bike will make a big difference. Yeah. So I think that's a good strategy to have. I think in A or B, it's unlikely that it will make a big difference because I think the pace will be too hard. The time you'll take to switch the bike just won't really make it back. Mm-hmm. I think for C, this could be an interesting move because it takes you literally 5-10 seconds, and you have a big advantage on a gravel bike. So the thing you have to make sure is that the bike you're riding, when you switch bike, the gravel bike is literally next in your shopping list, in your equipment list, so you don't have to scroll and just. But this is something you have to practice. Nick, do you think that's something you're going to do?
It really depends, because I think even in C, if you're in the lead group, there isn't really much of an advantage, because you'll lose the group if you try and switch, and you'll be out of the draft. So, I mean, you may be able to catch up, but you won't be resting. And then you'll switch, but and then you have to switch back at some point, because there's still a lot of tarmac to get home. So,
but it's downhill.
Yeah,
so I think it depends what the group does. If you see a lot of people stopping, I think it's a good idea to kind of do it as well. If you see people going,
I see it as a way, for example, if I was in a second group and I saw that, there was 20 seconds or something up to the first group, then I might try it just to bridge my way up. But the only issue is when the gravel section ends, you still have quite a ways to get home. So
it's true. Yeah.
If
you have to stop again, you have to stop again.
If you go out on your own, then you need a big advantage. And then do you swap again, or do you try and pull it all the way through?
I see we've got the steamroller as well, which makes the gravel into tarmac and lasts for quite a while, doesn't it?
30 seconds, yeah. So that could be a move where if you have the steamroller, then you don't use the gravel or something, but it's only 30 seconds. So, but yeah, it makes a big difference. So yeah, actually, good point that you mentioned about the power up. So we're gonna have the truck. The truck gives you, I think it's 20 seconds of you can draft more. Basically, you're increasing your ability to draft.
30 seconds, it says.
30 seconds, yeah. 30 seconds, yeah. Thank you. So obviously, only use the truck when you're behind someone. That's important. Then we have the feather, which makes you lighter by, I think, 8 kilos or something like that. Or maybe it's 10% or 15%, 10% of your weight for 15 seconds. So this one will be good to use, obviously, on a climb. Definitely do not use on a downhill, because obviously your weight is an advantage downhill. So only for uphill, to bridge a gap or just have a little bit of a rest. And the steamroller, obviously, only use on the gravel section, which is a very, very powerful tool.
Good to
the steamroller makes a big difference.
With the steamroller and the feather, I guess, when you push it to be like, right, okay, this is where I'm making my advantage. So it's a little interval of working harder than normal. It's what I tend to do as I've got that advantage of the.
I have a question here, because there's no sprints or no KOMs. When do you get the power ups? Because usually you have to go through under a banner to get a.
Yeah, exactly. You go through banners. I think at the beginning, after the pens, you get out and then you pass a banner and you got straight away a power up. Okay. So you don't have to go through a KOM or a sprint but it depends if you go through a start or finish banner.
Yeah.
You get a KOM.
So I think
there's another one, for example. I think there's another, I'm not sure, but I think there's another one right in the middle of the jungle, because that's the jungle loop banner. And I think you can pick up another one there.
Oh, right at the very far point. Yeah, I think
in the middle part. So again, the steamroller can be used two ways. If you're struggling, clearly just use it, and that's going to basically, you're going to rest. If you struggle, I would use it on an uphill rather than on a flat or downhill. It does go uphill sometimes in that jungle bit. And also, if you want to make a break, if you've got the legs and you feel, okay, I've got this, maybe just before it goes back to tarmac, just have that break and go, and you go for glory and then go until the end. That's a potentially thing. So really, it's really the power-ups are there either when you struggle or when you want to gain an advantage.
And if you see somebody using it early, think, yes, he's tired, I can attack him. I can go.
Yeah, if you've got the energy to keep yours for later, that's clearly absolutely. But sometimes they can make a break, these power-ups. If you'll have, let's say, your group of 10 guys and 3 or 4 are using the steamroller and they go, you better hang on, because that can make a break. stage 2, we have Greater London Flat, TTT. We've done this one plenty of times. I think we did I think we did another course for London usually. It wasn't the London Flat. I think it was another one we did. But team time trial. So again, like we said, just going by teams. And this time this season, like last season, they're keeping the power-ups. So we'll have the aero, which makes you more aerodynamic. So it reduces your drag coefficient by I think about 25% or something like that. So you will go faster. You have the truck, which increases your drafting ability, and you have the feather, which makes you lighter. So in a TTT, that's just super important. If you get the aero, it's either because you're struggling at the back to keep up with the team, or you use it at the front to be more aero, so that the whole team can go a little bit faster. However, that is also dangerous, because if you're more aero, you'll go super fast, and the guy behind you really has to increase the power. But if you're struggling, you can use it at the front, and your turn will basically be a lot easier. You know, if you do a 1 minute turn, you'll have 15 seconds, which will be easier for you compared to a normal turn. The truck, well, only use the truck. I would use the truck if you're in second place, because the second place is where you have the least amount of draft. So if you get the truck, use it when you're second. If you really struggle at the back, then of course use it. But the moment you'll need it the most will be when you're second or third. So does that make sense?
Yep.
And the feather, well, the feather is when it goes up. There's not going to be a great amount of.
It's a short straw. You don't want to get that one.
It's just 15 seconds. I think there's only one place, one little hill where you can use it on that course. So it's a bit of a useless one. But definitely the truck and the aero are they will be key to using. That's going to be creating a big advantage to save energy and to increase the speed for a little bit of the, Because imagine if you have 3 guys with arrows, you just use those arrows and just like really increases the speed of the train, you know, one after the other, bam, bam, bam. So that can be a big advantage.
Yep, it's a short and fast TTT.
Pretty short, 28 kilometers. Yeah, that's going to be what, 40 minutes or something or whatever.
Good.
Yeah, that's going to be quite short.
I like the flat TTT.
Yeah. Well, I think it's challenging when you have a little bit something a bit different, but for sure it's nice to have.
Yeah, flatter's easier, but the second TTT we'll get to, it's a bit more hilly.
And now we have a very interesting one, Chasing the Sun, stage 3. So that's a little bit longer, 35 kilometer, 315 meter elevation. Sounds actually ridiculous when you think about these elevation in real life compared to Zwift. You know, 300 meter is like nothing, and on Zwift you think, oh, it's a hilly course. Yeah, but we have the aero. So again, 15 seconds more aerodynamic. The truck, again, 30 seconds. You can draft more easier. And we have the ghost, which is going to be interesting. The ghost makes you basically invisible to other riders for, I think, 10 or 15 seconds, something like that. I don't have it in front of me.
It's 10 seconds.
10 seconds. So it's quite short, but you know, before a sprint, that could be quite useful. We'll have the course is quite interesting. You have a lot of sprints. So there's going to be, I think, 2 sprints quite early on. Then there's a bit of a climb. It's the rooftop KOM, you know, the one which goes up it's not a KOM, it's actually the reverse part of that KOM. So there's no segment for the KOM, but it's going to be quite interesting because it's a good like 3-4 minute climb, which really will sort out a lot of the groups will split there, in my opinion. They'll split right away at the start with the sprinters. Then you have that little hill, which will again split a little bit. Then it goes back to flat. There's one more sprint, and then we go up Temple KOM, which has the gravel section. So now, Jamie, will you fully commit to the tactic of the KOM?
Yeah,
when I say fully commit.
I think I liked your tactic last time to do that to the 100 watts. Let everybody go and take it easy. and then go for it. Yeah, it was good, wasn't it? So yeah,
I think it's going to be basically a race where the sprinters will hammer the start. Second, third groups will be created, and I think those groups will have a chance to catch up later. But
yeah, I think
it's not a big climb, so
it's not a big climb. But I've in past races when I've switched bikes here, I was able to make up a lot of time in a lot of spots. I remember going from I can't remember, it was in 30 something spot, making it all the way up to 18th. And with 3 sprints and a climb before Temple KOM, at least in C, there's going to be people all over the road. There's going to be a lot of splits. So that could be an opportunity to sort of wheel yourself back into better contention.
But you do have to switch back to a normal bike if you're, well, unless you're going for the KOM tactic, like we spoke with Jamie. But if you plan to, for the finishing points, and you want to make your way back, switch to gravel, and then switch back to a normal bike at the top of the climb, basically. Because there's one more sprint at the end before the finish, actually. So yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting one. Chasing the Sun. That'll be a really good race. Then we move on to stage 4. Not my favorite course this world, but my favorite world, Richmond. Libby Hill after party. So that is just going to be a sprinting fest. Exactly. So 33
I'm not looking forward to that one.
33 kilometers, 100-meter elevation. You got the aero boost, again 15 seconds more aerodynamic. The truck, 30 seconds more draft. And the other one, which is now interesting, the burrito. The burrito, I think, is 15 seconds or 20 seconds?
It's 10 seconds, 2.5 meter radius.
Exactly, yeah. So for 10 seconds, the people around you in a radius of 2.5 meters basically don't get any draft. So it's an interesting tactic to play, especially at the sprints. So you got to be careful, because when the sprints arrive and there's a bunch kind of splitting, if someone uses a burrito, that can really split the group. So we're going to have to be very careful. Does that mean
then, I thought it was just the people behind you. If you're third in a group, then, and you hit your burrito, then the guy in front of you is not getting any draft from the person in front of him. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I think you get the draft, but the others don't.
He doesn't.
Oh, it affects the guy in front as well.
It's a radius of 2.5 meters. So that's why really you're really punishing. You got to be careful with this one, because I always think that if you use it, the people know that you've used it on them, so they'll hit back at you later on. Yeah. I don't think it's a very friendly one to use, So
but all is fair, right? All is fair.
Yeah, but you want to bank some nice points, and hopefully you work together later on. And they don't, but anyway. No, but
you just want to be careful you don't burrito your own teammates potentially as well.
Yeah. Exactly. No, but you want to, but if you struggle to keep up with the main bunch and you use that, all they will do is make it harder for everybody else, and the guys around you will basically split, and all of a sudden you've created your own little gruppetto. So it's a tricky one. I think it's more to use if you're at the front. So again, that's a good one to analyze for the first across the line, because we'll have 5 times the sprint in Richmond. So that means
you have the Broad Street sprint as well. So there's actually 6 sprints.
Yeah, it's true. And then you have as well the first across the line on the Libby Hill KOM. But you have 5 sprints exactly where you can collect first across the line. So that's going to be quite a lot of points on offer. That's potentially a tactic what we did last time, so either you stay at the back and kind of get the draft and just don't compete for the sprints, and then maybe save your bullets for Libby Hill and the finishing points, or just smash the sprints and then just, whatever happens at the end happens. Again, like remember with you, Nick, in Paris, in the 4th or 5th sprint, whatever it was, a lot of the guys were tired. So that was your opportunity to go for it. So you can have some opportunities like that, I think.
Yeah.
but yeah, not one I'm particularly looking forward to, actually, secretly.
Yeah.
I like cobble climbs, but no.
But in Paris, when I did that, there was the lead-in was the climb, which where I'm better on the climb, and I think the sprinters suffer a little bit. On this one, it's deadpan flat, and once those sprinters put those watts out, it just splits, right? And it's hard to recover. But we'll see.
I remember we had once. I think we had once this race, or was it Yorkshire or something like that, where you have like a really, really nasty climb. And I remember Henrik was saying, "Oh, this is not going to be my race," and whatever. And actually, it's just not long enough, the climb, to even the heavier riders will be able to push 400 watts or 500 watts, whatever, up that final climb. And you need, it's not like you have a big 20-minute climb to make up the time on the sprinters. You're not going to make 20 seconds on a guy, even though he weighs maybe 20 or 30 kilos more. I don't think you can make that sort of time on that hill. So it's really going to be the sprinters and the one with the better punch at the end.
Yeah, there, I think what might be interesting is going for the fastest through segment on the Libby Hill climb at the end.
That's true.
So the sprinters will have all burned their matches on the 6 sprints beforehand. And if you save something and just go for that, because that's at least in C, that's probably a 2-minute climb. If you're at 450 watts, it still has just under a 2-minute climb.
Definitely.
So it's not nothing.
If you're dropped, save the bullets and basically just go nuts on the at the end. I think that's yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna have to be a little bit more tactical in these scenarios. Stage 5, Figueroa Watopia, the TTT, 30.2 kilometers, 255 meters uphill. That's going to be quite a tricky one. So we've got the aero again. So again, TTT, but we have the aero, we have the truck, and we have the feather. We've explained those. They'll be very, very useful, all of these TTTs, all these power-ups. And I think most people, especially the heavier riders, will pray for a feather because we have 2 big climbs. We have the Zwift KOM, and there's Zwift KOM reverse, so that's 2.5K, and there's Zwift KOM, which is about 1 kilometer long. They're not very long, these KOMs, but enough to create a bit of gaps. And we've seen it in the TTT. The moment it goes up, you gotta the lighter guys have to wait for the heavier guys. So
it's good to work out so you know when the climb's coming. So you can try to get the stronger riders on the front before the hill, so that the guys who need more time on the hill can get the rest on the way up.
Exactly.
And that's quite tricky, but definitely what you can do is work out, okay, when we get to the top of the climb, I'm going to be freshest. Whoever's going to be freshest, get yourself on the front and take it from there. And then we'll start the rotation again.
Yeah. I think perhaps on this one is maybe it makes more sense to, instead of speaking in terms of time, of rotation, distance might be more important.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because that for example, if our strongest guy in C is Henrik, if he's got the pull, if he's got the pull, the team, and then you've got the climb, I mean, he's working incredibly hard. It makes no sense. He should be the last. He should really have the draft benefit. Then get up. Him and Casper, they should draft, then go up the hill hard, then downhill. Everybody can recover. And then when it's flat again, they can take care of the team a little bit again. And even though these climbs are not super hard, you still get draft. So the lighter riders can't just go off on their own and then wait at the top for like 15 seconds. That's useless. You've got to stay right in front of the other rider, because even at 20 kilometers an hour, you will get a draft, 25 or 30, whatever. So really important to stay as a bunch. Help.
It's so difficult if you get a split in a TTT, because coming back together is difficult, right? Because then the people in the front are sort of slow pedaling, the guys in the back are going super hard just to catch up, and then when they do meet, they go flying by the guys right in the front.
Exactly.
And so you waste so much time and energy trying to actually just regroup. So I think it's super important to always stay together on those climbs, even if it's at a slower pace.
And I know sometimes we try to be so like the beautiful Team Time Trial, pace line, it's actually difficult to do. Maybe in London it'll be possible, but I think in that scenario, the figure of 8, when it's hilly and down, you just got to aim to be a bunch at least.
Yeah.
Especially the uphill and the downhill. And then when it gets back to, some sort of flat road, fine, you get the order again. But, to have that exact line, I think in C and B doesn't matter as much. I think that what will matter is that you're super coordinated on the way up, but on the way down as well. Because if you split on the way down, you can be out the back. And then the whole team has to wait, 15, 20 seconds. I don't know if you remember, Jamie, was it with you when we did the TTT in Bologna on the Thursdays? Was it with you or with Bruno? I don't remember. The downhill is crazy over there. But
yes, it was with me. Yeah. Bruno
was there. 3 of us. And I think it's Bruno who was left behind. And we were just flying at the front. And we got something like 30 seconds or whatever. It was something ridiculous.
That's right. Yeah. And we were just sitting, not pedaling. Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. So it's really important to stay as a bunch uphill, so that when you cross that past the point, the uphill, then you go down altogether. The big one, stage 6. That's going to be the one I'm really looking forward to. Innsbruck 2018 Worlds. 24 kilometers, very short, but 496 meters of elevation in one hill. So it's going to be super interesting. This, of course, is going to be great. So you have the different power-ups. We have the truck, so you can draft better. You got the feather, makes you lighter. And you got the anvil. The anvil makes you heavier by 25 kilos.
For 30 seconds.
For 30 seconds, yeah, that's huge. And so, first of all, don't use the anvil when you go up. That's a no-go. I've seen it. It's not fun. I haven't done it, but I've seen it, and it's just, no chance. 25 kilos, huh? That's a lot. Definitely use it on the downhill, but that's going to be the climbers' time to shine. Looking forward to this one? No.
I'm actually gutted. I'm actually gutted because I love this world, Innsbruck. I love this course, and I won't be able to partake in this because I'm getting my leg surgery on the 5th of May, and this one's on the 10th. So unless it's some miraculous thing, I won't be able to partake. You'll
be de-essing.
I'll definitely be de-essing. No, I'm disappointed because I like this course.
Yeah.
And you go, it starts out flat. You go into this, what they call, it's actually a category 2 climb. You come back down the other side, and then you've still got
a sprint at the end, huh?
The leg snapper and a sprint before you finish. So it's a really interesting world.
So I think we'll pass through the finishing banner first, I think. So you will get a power up quite quickly. So you might get a feather or something. If you get the anvil, either keep it and use it later or just bin it. But, might as well keep it and then use it as soon as you go down, because that's going to have a big advantage.
Yeah, for sure. Because you'll be able to get into super tuck speed on the way down.
Yeah, it's going to be fast.
For sure.
You can literally super tug the whole way, I think. That's another point, actually, which you've mentioned. Thank you, Anik, the super tuck. So the super tuck, you can get into a super tuck position. For the people who know what it is, just look at Chris Froome super tuck on YouTube and you'll get an idea of what it is. You basically put your body on top of your top tube, basically, and get a super aero position.
It's banned by the professionals. It's banned now. It's dangerous, but it's in Zwift.
But only banned since last year, I think. I think last year was the first year they banned it.
Is it coming in real life though? The dropper post.
Yeah.
Dropper post in real life, I think.
Yeah. That's allowed.
Because they need to add weight anyway, don't they, to their bikes to get them to the limit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's heavier, but I think these guys will get a bike with a.
Yeah, but for the super tuck on Zwift, so it's, I think you need 4% downhill gradient, and you need to have a speed, I believe, of 57 kilometers an hour. So once you have these two, you can get into that super tuck position. You'll see your avatar change, and you literally stop pedaling, and your avatar will just increase the speed. I mean, it will go pretty fast.
Yeah, in fact, you can't pedal faster than a super tuck. So it's actually a better racing technique anyway, and you get to rest the whole time.
And you can use that in many, we haven't discussed this, but on the TTT before, that's the downhill. Super tucking, you got to have someone, the captain, saying, okay, super tuck, and then stop super tuck, pedal again, that you all start at the same time.
But you got to watch coming out of it, you can get caught. Yeah,
you can get caught, absolutely. It is a bit dangerous. But the Innsbruck one will be great because it's finally a big climb. And it does, the cool thing is that it doesn't actually finish at the top. I think it's interesting to have that downhill. So it does put a bit of pressure on the climbers. You can't just let it all out on the climb. You've got to, okay, you can recover, but it's going to be a bit of a chase because you still have quite a way to go.
Yeah. No,
it's going to be a really cool one. Jamie, looking forward to this one?
Yeah, it should be.
You don't like so much the super hilly ones, but
no, it'll be okay though. So just sit and suffer on a hill. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, you have beautiful scenery in Austria.
Yeah,
amazing. Then finally, stage 7 and 8 will be the playoffs. We've been 3rd or 4th in C, so it's possible. We can dream. I think that's the aim, to be on the podium. Team B, we'll see what happens, but I think you finish 4th.
Well, that'd be great. Maybe I can recover then and come back for if we get into the top 2 positions.
So we can dream, and these are two new courses. I mean, we have Downtown's Titans. I don't think I've done it this one, but yeah, 25 kilometer. It's going to be a team time trial, another quite hilly one, 295 meter, with Titans Drome and the Zwift KOM. So that's going to be a tough TTT, a bit like the Richmond one we did, but with just these kind of up and down all the time. Not really. It's going to be really difficult to put to keep that rhythm of one guy doing the work and the 5 others drafting. It's going to be very limited drafting, in my opinion, on that course. So, but yeah, I think it's a good team time trial. A true team effort, but more of a, let's say, collection of individuals rather than the team working together, as in one going all out and one drafting, etc. So interesting one. And then stage 8, Sprinters Playground. That was the only one. That's the one that we didn't race, wasn't it? I think on the season 2. The one
it started off. There was a hill. I can't remember what course it was, but it started off the same as Sprinters because there was so many sprints, but then it had a hill in it as well.
Yeah, so exactly. Maybe it could be oh yeah, it's true. This one doesn't have the hill at the end. It's slightly different. There's going to be more of a sprinters playground, like they say. 4 sprints, 3 laps, so a lot of points on offer. First across the line with aero, truck, and feather. Don't know where the feather is going to be used, but maybe there's a little bit of a hill there. But 37 kilometers. It's going to be quite a nice finish as well. So hopefully we can have the team in the playoffs by then. Let's see.
Yeah.
So, guys, any course, any stage in particular that you're looking for the most?
Do you know, I'm quite happy at the finishing points. To have no sprints or anything like that, because I'm always getting dropped at those bits, and whenever the pace goes up, then I'm off the back. So it'd be quite nice to have a sort of the bunch together and all the way until the end. It should be interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I agree. The Road to Ruins, the first one, I'm looking forward to.
Intermediate. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the 2 ones I'm looking forward to the most, Chasing the Sun, the 3rd race, and the last race, Innsbruck, I actually won't be. Those are the 2 races this season I can't make. But Road to Ruins, I think looks cool.
Yeah, I agree with you with the Chasing the Sun. I think that's going to be an interesting one. For me, the one I'm looking for the most will be the Innsbruck one. I just love a climb, and I think that's where you really have the peloton splitting it's every man for himself, and just that's going to be for me the one to watch or compete. And the one the least, anyone? The worst one? I'll tell you right away. For me, it would be the Libby Hill after party. It's just going to be horrible.
I think Libby Hill is going to be tough. I agree.
I don't like sprinters play. Although having said that, last time in Paris, I'm not a sprinter, but on lap 3, I just gave it all and got first across the line, or second, or something like that, or third, and then that's it. Job done. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So you can do a bit of a kamikaze tactic, but not really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, Libby Hill's got the most sprint points up for. Yeah, that's not for me. I would say. There we are.
But obviously we're going to struggle a bit with it's a funny time of the year. So now the weather's getting better, although it was snowing outside just before. That's not an April's Fool's joke, which is crazy. And we have Easter, 2 weeks of holidays, or let's say 2 weeks of struggle for numbers. And that's going to be the tricky part.
Those 2 weeks of Easter, I might struggle myself. It's certainly the first week. I'm not sure what's happening yet. But
so I've decided. I know normally we have the A, B, and C teams. So I've decided the A will not compete in this season because we just don't have enough riders. Like I said at the beginning, I've dropped back to a B. So in theory, I could race as a B. There was only Ramon and Bruno who are who are A. Ramon could only make one race for the season. So, it's just no point really beating ourselves up and getting B guys in A where they should really be in B, So, because I see it as well, when you're a B and you're competing, you'll improve because you go just hard because but if you're a B in an A race and you're at the back and you're just soft pedaling until the end, and it's not really motivating. I had created another B team, but that's highly in doubt as well, because looking at the doodle and the availability of people, I will struggle for 2 or 3 weeks in that season to fill out teams.
Really? Okay.
And we've seen that it's not possible to have, if you have 4 riders, you're literally it's over. So do we sacrifice one? But do we sacrifice one team? Which questions the purpose of having another team. So I think it will be only the B team and the C team this season. And with all the availability I had of everybody, in that case, I'm able to have 6 riders every single week, and have backups, which will be, I hope people will, join me in that. Having a backup rider, there's always someone an hour before asking me to cancel or change, or someone who can have a technical, whatever. If we have this 7th person who can come up in the team last minute, you tell that person will be ready to race or ready to just do his own session,
or do your own thing anyway.
Exactly. So I think that's what's going to happen. We'll have 6 riders, a backup, and I'll be most of the time DSing for the C or the B team, depending. Maybe if we switch one team or something. I think something that it will be worth doing is keeping Discord on every single race, including the points race. We've seen that it worked really well when we had it.
Yeah, it definitely worked for us.
So that's going to be a good thing to do. But so unfortunately no A team. We'll be back, but just need a few more riders to really make it. It's a struggle. So I know some people will be disappointed not to be selected, because in some cases we'll have like 9 or 10 available riders and only 6 spots. So I think what I might do is now you have the club functionality. So I've created a club on Zwift, and what I was thinking of doing is basically doing a side event at the start so that the guys can basically do a training together or something. So there's an option for you to train if you're not racing, because I know it's a bit disappointing, but I think it's also good sometimes that the teams are switching a little bit, because you can have time to train, have time to recover a little bit more. And because racing so hard every single week, it's tough. It's really tough. But so yeah, that's the only change I think for this season.
Sitting on the bench for Libby Hill, it wouldn't be too bad, would it?
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to. That's the Eastern one, I think. Actually, Libby Hill. There's I think it's stage 3 and the stage 4, Chasing the Sun and Libby Hill, which I will have to compete in those.
Yeah,
I will. Yeah. No, but I will be on a. Although I'm a B, now I've decided I won't race and I'll DS unless I'm required to race. So I'll be making up the numbers rather than pushing the team, because again, I'm so close at being an A that if you race and you're disqualified, it's just it's
no point. Yeah,
no poor form as well. But well, guys, anything you want to add? Any other business? We haven't talked about bike selection too much, but I think it's just I think it's one of those things. If you've got a Tron, pretty much Tron, but
yeah,
there's going to be a lot of stuff. So we'll talk and discuss tactics a bit before each race. But yeah,
nice. Well, I look forward to it.
Nick, ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Podium.
Well, let's see.
What's the ambition for the Team C?
No, I mean I think there's two things. Is we'd love to be able to break into the top 2. Obviously, we've been sort of 4th and 3rd. It depends on what division we're put in. And for me, it's definitely to get back into the top 10. A couple of seasons ago, I was consistently top 10, and now I'm floating in the teens, which is good, very good. But I'd like to get back into a top 10 finish.
I think what I'd like to see for Team C is maybe let's be ambitious. Let's aim for a podium finish for the ranking, the whole thing. I think 3rd is definitely on the cards.
Yeah.
But then individually, I'd like to see a win. I'd really like to see. I think we could get a win, an overall win by a rider.
I think we could. I mean, and it's not just. I mean, Henrik obviously is sort of our MVP, and he was close to a win last season, very, very close to a win. But I think the different races suit different people. Jules, if he's been training, he's a super strong rider. Under the right circumstances, I've been on the podium before in past seasons. So I think there's other people that could do it as well.
And I think as well a team win. I think the team time trial, we've got a case to get a win in one of these 2 stages. I think, I mean, I'd love to see it. I think these are not unreachable targets to get one win, one stage win, and one stage win by a rider, and then podium finish. I think that would really finish off the last 2-3 seasons. Yeah. And Team B, well, I think that top 5 spot, top 4, was already a very good achievement. So
on the league that we get put in, really, who falls around us. I think that flat TTT could be good. That was we did well last season. So if I have a good kick at the ball at that could be an interesting one.
Yeah, I think we could see a potential podium as well in terms of individual events. Mm-hmm. I see like a guy like Guillaume, if he can make it, Libby Hill after party. I think that has his name Ali, all over it.
Ali's always
strong. Guy like Ali as well. Yeah. You said on TTT, I think we have quite powerful numbers there and quite similar. And I'd like to see a KOM as well, like you did with the Temple KOM.
Yep.
I think that would be nice. But so slightly perhaps lower, let's say, ambitions in Team B, but I mean the level is just so hard over there.
Yeah.
But it should be the same teams again, Team C and Team B, unless the teams have changed their leagues, which does happen. But normally the leagues are staying the same.
Right. Okay. So we'll recognize these people around.
Apart from the top 2, which have gone up.
Yeah.
And the bottom 2, which have gone down. But we might have some other strong teams coming, but the league should be the same.
Cool.
Good stuff. Well, thank you very much, guys. It took a bit longer than I thought it would take, but it's good fun to talk about that.
Yeah.
One more week. Well, it's next week. So bit of rest over the weekend, and let's get ready to smash those races.
It's coming up fast. Yeah.
It's coming up really fast. Yeah.
I look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.